Dr. Houston, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you this evening?
Good deal, good deal. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it here at NBC4.
Sure, anytime.
Let's talk about our partnership. NBC4 has teamed up with Nationwide Children's Hospital through the month of May to kind of talk about mental health awareness, just trying to break the stigma of talking about topics like depression, anxiety, and that feeling of loneliness. So let's just jump right in and start talking about how you say not just being physically fit, but being mentally fit is just as important.
Absolutely. They go hand in hand. If you spend time exercising and being physically fit, you want to spend just as much time and energy trying to keep yourself mentally well, and they feed into each other. A lot of people talk about the benefits of physical exercise as a way to keep yourself feeling mentally well, but it goes the other way as well. The more mentally fit you are, and the more you take pride in, doing the little things to keep your mind sharp and keep yourself active mentally, you'll feel better physically as well.
And how do we start with that, Dr. Houston? And we start with just basically a routine.
Yeah, I would say that's the biggest thing to try over the summer is if you've never stuck to a regular routine, or if you hadn't have your children stick to a regular routine over the summer, I'd start by just thinking, what are some things you want to accomplish every day? When you wake up, what do you want to make sure you check off your list for the day, whether it's some physical exercise or some learning activities, some reading, anything that can help keep structure in your day and have playtime fill in and around those times throughout the day.
I love how you say even something as simple as just having a set time, especially because the kids have been at home. We have been at home trying to work from home and homeschooling the children. And some of them have not always necessarily been on a strict routine of what time they're going to get up in the morning, what time they're going to have breakfast. You say something as simple as that makes a huge difference for them being mentally fit.
Yeah, your sleep and wake cycle is part of a biological process, and there's lots of hormones involved and things
Mhm.
like that. And when our bedtime varies too much throughout the week, or when we're sleeping way more than we're used to some nights and much less than we're used to other nights, our body kind of gets out of whack. And you probably notice how sluggish you feel, even
Absolutely.
if you get 12 hours of sleep in a night. If you're not used to that, you wake up feeling tired, and people are confused by that. But it's that your body doesn't know what to do in that circumstance, and it's not well regulated. So even if you're shifting it back over the summer, which a lot of us do because of daytime and nighttime hours, having a routine time to go to sleep and wake up every day is the best thing for you.
And you said that the key to being fit is, of course, doing puzzles, playing games. And you also talk about just the old school way of going outside and just playing and getting kids to run around, exercise. I mean, while it's physical exercise, it's also mental, you say.
Yeah, things that we talk about when we're thinking of mental fitness: keep your brain active and learning new things and processing information. So, we don't want to be doing the same exact thing every day. We
Right.
want to be challenging ourselves and our kids. So, whether it's setting up an obstacle course in your backyard out of things you have in the garage or around the house, or whether it's having them solve different puzzles, or even some free online games where they're having to do things like solve logic puzzles or math games, playing board games, any of that kind of thing, depending on the age of your children, can keep their brains moving throughout the day and keep them feeling mentally fit.
Let's also talk about, you said about the mind. How do we practice mindfulness when we sometimes as adults struggle with that? How do we get our kids to do it?
Put it in your schedule. I do that every day. And if I'm making a structure to my day, I like to leave a lot of free time. That's the type of person I am. But
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
also like to have a few things in my day that I know I'm going to accomplish. And so some time to sit back and reflect and be mindful of my surroundings and what I'm thankful for, and what I'm grateful for. That's something that's a really important part of my day. And so I just schedule it in. For me, it happens in the morning first thing because I'm alone and it's quiet. But for some people, it's dinner time around the table, or sometimes it's before bed, or any of those times.
And is there a certain a set amount of time that we should set for our children, depending on if there's a 3-year-old, if there's a 7-year-old, if there's a 15-year-old? Should it be, age, time spent on mindfulness?
Yeah, it can be. It could also just be what type of activity you choose. So for a 3-year-old, 2 minutes of deep breathing is
Okay.
a lot of work for them to sit still and pay attention
Yeah,
and
sometimes we do that while we're at work too. Just give me 30 seconds.
exactly. I'm sure before you go on the air, if you've had a stressful day and you want to be at your best and clear your mind, a period of time to do that. Whereas for an older kid, you can get them more actively engaged in the mindfulness activities, like, imagining something, a relaxing place, or think about 3 things that you were grateful for today, or that happened that were good in your life today, or think of 2 people that you're grateful for and
Mhm.
send them a message when you're done. um, Anything that gets you to stop and just think about where you are in the moment and think about what's going on bigger than just the next 5 minutes, that's considered mindfulness to
And
most
when you
people.
stop and just think about where you are, how do we get our kids? Because I think this is a battle that a lot of parents talk about. How do you get your kids to get off of this, to get off the screen, and like you said, and practice some other mental fitness?
Oh yeah, that's a struggle in my house every day, in all honesty. I got a 7 and a 4-year-old, and they wake up wanting to do that and they go to bed wanting to do that.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time as a family thinking about how many hours or how much time is reasonable for all of us. So I have a time amount for myself, and I track that on my phone, and lots of phones do that these days.
Hmm.
We have limits set for our children too on their tablets and screen time, and so you just have to decide what your tolerance level is and make sure that the kids know that you're adhering to that as well, that it's not that mom and dad have free access all the day and you don't, that we're stopping and putting our devices down, having a water fight outside on a hot day, or show
Yes.
them that we can ride bikes with them too, or kick the soccer ball or throw the frisbee. The best way to get them involved is to model the good behavior.
And of course, we know that you're not talking about the time that they spend since they're homeschooling right now. They do get that time, but you're saying just break away, learn how to break away from the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Learning time is a little bit separate, and we're having to understand. I don't think we really know yet what that
Right.
means
We
for
don't.
all of us going into the future. But yeah, anytime that they're doing their educational apps or
Hmm.
Zoom calls with teachers or any of that kind of schoolwork, we don't consider in the same category. It's
Right.
more the watching TV or surfing the internet when they're older, doing social media, watching videos, all of that kind of stuff.
Something else that you say in order to be not just physically fit, but mentally fit, and it does help in the physical, is getting the proper amount of sleep. I like how you talked about the routine and you got to stick with that. But the 7, 8 hours a day, some days it's a blessing, but we really need
Yeah.
that to be mentally fit.
Yeah, if you look at some of the most successful people in the world and the people who are, clear-headed and have, are accomplished throughout their day, one of the things that many of them have in common is that they get adequate sleep for their own personal needs. So there's variability across the lifespan about how much sleep someone needs. A good rule of thumb for children really up through high school is that
Hmm.
they usually need somewhere around 10 to 12 hours, 9 hours at the minimum. But they really need a lot of sleep because they're growing and developing, and their brains are developing all the time, and that takes a lot of energy during the day. As adults, I'm sure we all know how much sleep we should be getting versus how
Right.
much we're actually getting. But um, you know, having that routine of, if you want them to go to bed at 9, then hopefully they're the type of kid who's not going to wake up until 7 or 8 in the morning. If you have really early risers, then you probably need to put them to bed a
Need to
little
go to
early.
bed earlier. And you also talk about, of course, eating the right thing. The diet plays such a role, not just on your physical appearance,
Mhm.
but that mind thing as well.
Yeah, sure. um, a lot of the same foods that you might be told to eat as far as for physical fitness
Hmm.
also help with brain fitness and brain health as well. But one of the things that your brain really benefits the most from is omega-3 fatty acids, and the type of fats that are found in things like avocado, nuts,
Mm-hmm.
fish,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And so trying to minimize the sugars and the caffeines later in the day, especially trying to minimize the saturated fats and things that we all know we shouldn't. But for your kids, especially, try and get them to eat some of those foods that have the good fats, the healthy plant-based fats in them that can power their brain.
Dr. Parker Houston, before I let you go, we talked about nationwide initiative of On Our Sleeves and trying to break the stigma of talking about mental health issues with your children. How do you get your kid? Because right now, I can tell you, doctor, I think I'm feeling a little anxious. I'm feeling a little depressed. I can tell you things like that. Our children cannot, especially at a certain age. So how do we get our kids, or how do we as parents learn the signs of depression, of anxiety, of feeling lonely?
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing it up. And, as you said, NBC4 has really been a great partner for us in the local community to work with the On Our Sleeves program. And we have a website, onoursleeves.org, that anyone who hasn't been there before, or even if you have, go there often. We're always putting up new things there and new activities. And, to answer your question, I think there are a few things that we could do. First of all, start conversations early in life. There's really, as far as whenever they have language, you can start having those conversations about feelings and mood and what we do with our feelings and how we express our feelings appropriately and how we can talk about them. And again, parents can be good models and
Mm,
point out, if you notice your child feeling sad, instead of telling them suck it up or stop feeling like that, say, wow, it looks like you're feeling sad, tell me about that.
yeah.
Or I can tell you're really angry right now or really happy. um, but then as they get older and they develop some more behaviors and language and ability to communicate things, just having an open line of communication and also knowing your children and knowing their baseline, so that really the biggest warning signs are a big change from their normal. And if you notice that they are acting really abnormally, they're not sleeping, or they're sleeping way too much, or they're angry a lot more than usual, or they're sad a lot more than usual, you might want to have a conversation. And there's lots of great resources on the On Our Sleeves website
Hmm.
for prompts to discuss with your children, like, how do I bring this up? What do I say? Where do I direct them? Where could I go for answers if I want to know? And if you have a question about, especially when it comes to safety of your children,
Hmm.
or a significant mental health concern, please give us a call at the Children's Hospital or at any of the local agencies that we list on our website for some extra guidance.
And it's okay for parents to, it's okay for parents if your child doesn't come to you, correct? As long as they're having the conversation with someone, with an adult. Because
Absolutely.
we don't always feel like, children don't always feel like they can say things to their parents, but as long as they're
Yeah.
starting the conversation with someone else.
Yeah. The more you teach them that it's acceptable to discuss both positive and negative
Yeah.
emotions and depressive feelings and anxiety, if you teach them that that's acceptable, and not only that, but encouraged, they will seek out people. They will talk to their friends about it. They will talk to their teachers and guidance counselors, or
Hmm.
their aunts and
Hmm.
uncles, or cousins or neighbors, or whoever they need to talk to if it's not mom or dad right away. But you always hope that you have that relationship and that you can make it so that it's an open line of communication, and they won't feel like they'll be chastised, or that it won't
Right.
be received well if they want to talk to whoever.
Absolutely. And last question for you. How do we get our children, and at what age should we be teaching our children about gratitude, just about appreciating even the small things? I thank you for my ball. I'm happy about my mommy, my daddy today.
Yeah. Um, well, we have a program going on this month through the On Our Sleeves called Grow Your Gratitude. So,
Yes.
if you go to the website, you'll find that. And again, I don't think there's an age that's too early. I think
Hmm.
even if they can't communicate it or even think up something that they are grateful for, telling your children that you're grateful for them, or identifying things as a parent that you're grateful for yourself, sets a great precedent for them to be searching the environment, not only for things that stress them out or that were difficult today or that they might be concerned about, but we want to be looking just as hard in our world and in our environment for things that we're thankful for. And there's a lot of research that shows not only physical, but mental health and long-term prevention benefits of a simple act like practicing gratitude on a daily basis. So make it a part of your daily routine. Go to our website for some prompts and for some information about how to bring this up in your family and how to make it a fun, kid-friendly activity. And it really benefits parents too, and adults of all ages. I promise. I've been doing it myself and really focusing on it this month, and it's made a big difference for me at this difficult time.
Yeah, and I love how we were talking about this just last week, on just in how this May has been a good month to have the conversation about mental health, but it's a
Yeah,
conversation that should be going on in households every single day.
absolutely. Yep. There's always things to be grateful for. And
Yeah.
sometimes in the most challenging times, that's when we need to look the most and we need to put the most effort into it. But it'll keep us all feeling grounded. And on those days when you're anxious, you have that mindfulness time. And maybe during part of that, you're thinking, today was really, really stressful or really hard, or I got bad news, but I also have things that are good in my life. So let me
Absolutely.
identify those.
Focus on the good. Dr. Parker Houston, thank you so much for joining us here at NBC4. We sure appreciate you for making some time
Yeah.
for us this evening. We do appreciate it. I want to give everybody the address that we talked about while we're talking about the Grow Your Gratitude and the On Our Sleeves programs there at Nationwide Children's Hospital. Love teaming up with you guys all month long. We have had a great
Yeah.
time getting the conversation going out there about mental health. The website that you guys want people to know about is onoursleeves.org. Thank you so much. We
Exactly.
appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you guys.